How's it going, everybody? My name's Matt, as they said, and I'm a recent Princeton grad. I graduated in 2012. I actually took this class when I was a sophomore at Princeton, and when I took this class, there was no lecture on how to choose a career. So I even went into Professor Singer's office hours, and I was like, hey, do you have any thoughts on how to choose a career? So I'm glad to see Will's here making it easier on future versions of me. When I took the class, the part that really blew my mind was the part about GiveWell. I don't know if have you guys discussed? Yeah, okay. So yeah, GiveWell evaluates charities, and one of the cool things about GiveWell is that their top recommended charity, they have an estimate for how much it costs to save a life through that charity, and their current estimate is something like $2,300. So you can calculate out, if I think I'm going to make this much money over my career and give this much of it away, how many lives can I expect to save? So it turns out that if you have sort of a normal salary and you're giving away 10% of your income, you can save about 100 lives over the course of your career. And when I did this calculation, it sort of blew my mind, because if you imagine just saving one person's life, imagine after class today you go out and you somehow save somebody's life, that'd be a pretty big deal. It'd probably stay with you for a while, right? And then if you imagine saving 100 people's lives, imagine there's a burning building and you run through the flames and you kick a door open and all these people pour out. That would be the greatest moment in your life, you know? And it's sort of cool or surprising to imagine that actually you can do something equally as good as that just by doing the boring thing of giving 10% of your income away to the most effective charities. So I think that's cool. So after I took the class, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do something about poverty. I'm gonna try and save a bunch of lives. Then I was realized, shit, I don't actually have any money. What am I gonna do? So what I ended up doing was I started a chapter of this organization called Giving What We Can. So shout out to anyone who's currently in Giving What We Can. And through Giving What We Can, I met Will, and he gave me all these arguments. And I found the arguments pretty convincing, so I decided to go into finance and give away half of whatever I made. And so that's what I've been doing for the past year. One thing that Will pointed out to me, which I think is really crucial, is that some charities are hundreds of times more effective than other charities, which if you think about it is pretty surprising. You never really see this in the for-profit world. You never see two pizza places that serve the same pizza, but one costs 100 times more. But this sort of thing does happen in the nonprofit world. There'll be two charities where one is just 100 times more effective, and they're right next to each other, asking you for money. And I think a large part of the reason why this happens is some charities choose really effective ways of helping the world, like malaria bed nets, and some choose not so effective ways, like play pumps. And so one corollary of this is that sometimes where you give is a lot more important than how much you give. So to make that more concrete, you can imagine you have a person who's giving 1% of their income away, and they're giving it to a median effectiveness charity, and you have the option of either bumping them up to giving 10% of their money, or you have the option of redirecting their donation to the most effective charity, but you can only do one of these. Which do you prefer to do? I think you actually prefer to redirect their donation to the most effective charity. So that's what I mean when I say it's more important where you give than how much you give. So I think that's a cool thought. I also want to touch on one thing that Will brought up, which is burnout and corruption. So these are separate worries. The burnout worry is that I'll be some idealistic kid surrounded by a bunch of cutthroat bankers, and I just won't be able to handle the pressure, and I'll end up quitting. And the corruption worry is the worry that I'll be around a bunch of cutthroat bankers who all have Ferraris, and then one day I'll be hey, you know what? Screw these charities. I want a Ferrari. And so I'll talk about those in my case. So in my case, I think burnout is really not that big of a worry. I really like the people I work with. I don't think they're cutthroat bankers. I actually look forward to going to work every day, which I think is rare. So I'm not so worried about that. I am more worried about corruption. I could sort of see myself slowly giving less and less and rationalizing it. One thing I do to try and prevent that is I've made a public pledge to donate 50% of my income, and I try and say that a lot so that it'll be really embarrassing if I ever go back on it. And you guys all have permission to make fun of me if I ever do. Also, I try to spend a lot of time talking to people like Will, because presumably that'll help prevent me from getting corrupted. So yeah, those are my thoughts on burnout and corruption, and that's actually all I really have to say. I guess the summary is that I did the thing that Will's suggesting, and it didn't go horribly wrong for me, so that's one data point.